If the lockdown has taught us one thing, it's to enter the kitchen. Home chefs try their hands at dalgona coffee, banana bread, and even daily fare. Instagram chefs and cookbook authors did their best to make it all easier. One such personality is Chef Sapna Anand. Let's speak to her and see what's cooking in the kitchen and out of it. Welcome to our show.
Hi.
Hi. It's so nice to have you here. It's so nice to have you here. Yes. So I need to know, what is your signature dish, be it in the restaurant or even at home?
At home is usually something really simple, like a salad or my mom's food. Mostly my mom's food, because I haven't been home for almost 3 years now. It's going to be 3 years in a few months. And it's either her prawn biryani or her prawn masala. It's basically, the Kerala style prawn masala. So that's my signature here. My kids are always, my son is here with me, but he keeps reminding me to make it more often. So I guess that would be my signature. And at the restaurant, there are quite a few, very hard to, pin down one. I think the one that has been everyone's favorite is the Kashmiri lamb rack. It's lamb, the whole rack on the board. Wow. That has been fire grilled with spices. It's marinated overnight with a whole bunch of spices. While Kashmiri, because we predominantly use the Kashmiri chili powder, it gives it this beautiful red color. And we use a lot of other spices, some secret spices, about eight spices in there, and it's just fire grilled. So the freshness of the meat is there. So and that's our bestseller. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. And so do you think that spices there are tolerated as well as it is in India? You're right now in Malaysia. You've been there for 20 years now. So what do you think about the spice tolerance there?
I think they eat more spicy food here than I would say. Yeah, quite surprisingly. It's a bit odd. I mean, we have both. We have a lot of people who cannot eat spicy food. Like I come where I cannot eat spicy food at all. So, but I do see a lot of local Malaysians who have the tolerance level. Maybe because the cuisine is already spicy, they're used to it. Like the Malaysian food is spicy. So the Malaysian food is quite spicy in general over here. So I guess they are quite used to it. In fact, I do have customers, when they key in, it says extra spicy. So you can imagine.
Okay, that's great. So you used to once host a cooking show called Quick Indian Kitchen. So we need to know, what are these quick Indian dishes that you most commonly make after a long day of work? I'm sure that, as a chef, you barely get any time off. So whipping up a quick meal at home, what's that one dish for you?
It's a simple prawn curry and simple fish curry, because fish and prawn are, also the vegetables, of course, but specifically fish and prawn. Seafood you can cook really fast. It doesn't really need a lot of cooking time, just a few minutes it's done. So for me, it would be more like seafood based, and then there's quick vegetables like our thoran, for example. And here also in India, we have very quick stir fries. And of course, when you spoke about the show, the Fast Indian Cooking Show, the idea of the show is that there is a notion that almost every dish we make in India or Indian food is long process. It's a long winding process, which, you say, yes, I agree. Certain dishes do need their time. You need to give it time. You need to give, the spices to infuse and all that. But if you ask me, I feel like a lot of dishes, you can easily do it really fast. You need to give enough time, especially when you make a curry, for the spices to infuse and for it to develop flavors. But it does not need hours of cooking or 25 minutes or 30 minutes of cooking. Something as simple as a prawn curry, our Kerala style prawn curry. Just by roasting those spices and spice powder itself, it enhances a lot of flavor, and that's enough. It just needs about 10 minutes cooking time, 10 to 15 minutes, and that's not bad. It's not like a 1 hour process. Yes, dishes like mutton, pork dishes, or some of the with bone chicken dishes, yes, you need to. But I think the idea of fast Indian cooking for me was to also introduce the simple and fast and easy recipes, which we tend to forget, and to remove that notion that it's all, a long-winded process. Yeah.
Okay. So I think what I get from what you're saying is you need to know where to spend a lot of time, probably in roasting the spices to elicit more flavor, and where you can discount on time. Probably.
Also, so I really want to do mention this part where when I did this show, I also spoke about it in the show multiple times about how a lot of process can be pre-made, which I speak about everywhere on my social media. Whenever I post a recipe, there's always a tip or a note which will tell you on how, for example, a dal recipe, on how you can actually soak the dal in advance and boil it if needed with whatever spices you like, whichever techniques you're used to, and then freeze it. This cuts down a day's work, or a few hours work, and all you have to do is put the tempering or the tadka, they call it, or whatever, however you want to cook it. But it cuts down a lot of time. So the concept is not, because I was asked this question, how can fast Indian cooking be fast? It's not. There are techniques. It's not. My mom doesn't spend hours together. She spends 1 good hour and she cooks up a storm. So a lot of it is she pre-makes when she has the time. Like maybe when you bring the dal from the grocery store, or our chana, the kadalak curries, the brown chickpeas or the chickpeas. What I do, I immediately soak it in water.
Okay.
And then next day, take it out, just freeze it. So to me, that is already cutting down a lot of time. And I even boil it sometimes if I need to. So I have one portion that's boiled and one portion that's just soaked. So that way, it saves a lot of time. Second is, of course, a traditional method of using pressure cooker that saves a lot of time. But pressure cooker is very common in India, but not necessarily. Yes, we use rice cookers here, but not very common. And I think that's an easy way to cut down on. And then marinating fish, marinating seafood. All these can be pre-cooked and pre-done and frozen. I make kebabs, pre-made kebabs. So my freezer is full. So freezer is our way out.
That's great. I think that's one thing. Like you said, over here pressure cookers are very common. Abroad, maybe not so much. But I feel like over in India, what we do is we don't have a lot of freezing happening. We prefer cooking fresh and quick, because I think with the power cuts that you have, it doesn't make sense.
Yes, I agree. We don't have power cuts here. So I agree with you on that too. On that too. But generally, I am a real example of a busy household. I have no time, and I have kids at home. I have family at home. And at the same time, my son particularly wants a good meal. So I do plan ahead. And there's no other way out. Planning is the best way, especially during lockdowns. And if you're working from home, you know exactly how it feels. So I feel like every 10 minutes you get, maybe you should just do one task and leave it aside. My sister does the same thing. Everybody in our family does it. So when we say fast Indian cooking, it's not just about cooking at that moment. And like you said, if you're cooking for tomorrow, maybe we can chop up the veggies. Prep time takes more sometimes than actually cooking.
Than the actual cooking. Yeah, true. That's true.
Yeah. So maybe these are the few things to consider.
So during this talk, you've already brought up your prawn curry several times. I need to know the recipe. Is there a link or something that you could share? Probably.
Yes, I think it's on my Instagram later. I will share, and I think I should post a few more, because
we should probably link it here.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, great. Yes. So I always when it comes to cooking, I feel like the main reason we all eat food is for nutrition. So how do you manage that balance of nutrition and flavor? Because I feel like sometimes that balance is awfully missed. Like something tastes amazing, but it's very low on nutrition, and some things are very nutritional but don't taste that good. So how do you make that balance?
It lies a lot on your cooking method, what you use, ingredients you use. For example, if I'm making a simple salad, it's not true that salad is wrapped. You can add so many things. You can add like grilled chicken, oven roasted chicken, or if you're a vegetarian, you can just saute some mushrooms, and mushrooms itself has so much umami in it. So I cook a lot of healthy food because I feel like for me, I'm on the go and physically always very active. So I do need that kind of food to keep me going for a few hours. So I do try to put in a lot of ingredients, like maybe spices for my morning omelette, and of course I'll give you an example. I make moringa leaf omelette, almost egg white omelette almost every day. It's quite bland. So what I do is I add other vegetables in it, but I add maybe spices, or sometimes it's just herbs. So it really enhances the flavor. Everywhere I think it's all about cooking technique and adding in the extra flavors. Sometimes flavors can come from something as simple as just fresh herbs, olive oil, lime juice, salt. It's seasoning. You get your seasoning right, you cannot go wrong. Yeah. So you can. You easily. I will 100%. I am witness to it. That you can do it.
So you authored the new Indian kitchen cookbook, right? So I want more details on this and how you went about the process, what it entailed, and how it came to you, probably, and if we can expect more books in the future.
Writing a cookbook was not something I had a plan in my mind. I always wanted to. It was like one of those, manifesting some dreams sort of thing. I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted to do a show. It just came about when MPH, which is a Malaysian publishing house, discovered me online via a blog. Those days it was blog, and there was no Instagram, no Facebook, nothing. I think there was Facebook. It was the beginning days of Facebook. So I was writing a lot of recipes and trials, and my recipes and trials were how a housewife or somebody who's working can cook with a lot of, like you just said, how can you cook nutritious meal with a lot of flavor? So I started using spices and what my mom used to cook with. I came up with dishes like a bit modern. That's why I call New Indian Kitchen. MPH actually told me that this is the perfect fit because it's new. It's not the traditional way of cooking. For example, I made a keema lasagna.
Oh, okay.
So it was like it's the same mincemeat, same mincemeat lasagna, but I added a lot of spices and slow cooked the mincemeat and then made it lasagna. So I used to post these recipes on my blog, and one of the publishing houses noticed, MPH noticed and said, "Oh, you should write about this. You should have a book because we have traditional Indian recipe books." The shelf. This was 2016, 14 actually, a few years back. So those days, it was just coming up on how you go, not fusion, I wouldn't say fusion, but think out of the box with using existing ingredients. Especially for me, I came back, I left India years ago. So I learned to cook with what was available. So I kind of revised those recipes, the original mom's recipes. I took that and I used what I could find here, and I used to write about it. So they thought it was fascinating and interesting, and then I wrote the book. It took me 1 whole year. The recipes I have tested, each and every recipe I have tested it minimum 5 to 6 times, which means I can guarantee you if you try the recipe, it will come no fail. It will come 90% almost. If you follow the instruction, that is, it will come exactly like how it is there in the picture and how it was, mentioned. So that's how Indian Kitchen Cookbook came about. It took me a long time. It took me a very long time. I went very slow. I enjoyed the process. I stopped doing everything. I just wrote the book for 1 whole year, 2013 to 2014, and got launched in 2014.
Okay. And any books in the future?
Yes, but slow. I'm taking it slow. I think things like books and all these, you just need to take your time It's something that you treasure for the rest of your life. This book, especially the first book, is what my daughter's been carrying with her everywhere she went, university to wherever she moved. And then I realized that how important that one book is. There's so much information that goes in there, and sometimes some of them, I do know readers who actually have cooked every dish from that book. So I don't want to rush it. I really don't want to rush that. Every recipe must be wow. Every recipe must say, I want to try that, I want to try that, I want to try that. So I think Cookbook is something you really must take your time. So I'm not rushing it.
Okay, that's great. So can you tell me a little bit, so you're currently teaching in Cordon Blue, Malaysia, right? So can you tell me a little more about that and how you got into teaching?
I'm an alumni of Cordon Bleu from Bangkok. This was in 2016. Went to SCP. I decided to kind of study a bit because I was always cooking for fun. I was experimenting with books and blogs and cooking classes with friends I knew, and then I decided, okay, I need to learn. But I went to do pastry, not cuisine, and that's the funny thing, because now I'm not doing pastry. I'm actually mostly cooking, more cuisine related. So I went to study, and when I came back, I worked a lot with chefs, doing little internships here and there. I worked with on a few projects, and then slowly I went back to local development to do a few workshops. I was good at, which means mostly spice related. So slowly we started introducing spices to the students, and then we realized that it's a good information to have, especially for local students who are graduating. It's good to know what fennel and cumin is, the difference between it, how can you cook. So now I have a spice seminar for every graduating term, where I introduce to them spices, the basics. Now let's go back to the blackboard kind of thing. So what fennel does, a little bit of science, well, not too much on the science, a bit of history, a bit of origin, a bit of how to use, a bit of what it does to your food, etc. So they know when they go out and they graduate how to know this and how to use it in a dish. So it's just an extra little tool they can take back, information they can take back. Yeah, so now I do that, and of course I do volunteer to do a lot of supervisions, and so I'm back to school.
That's great. Okay, so can you tell me a little more about the spice seminar specifically?
So what we do is it's a 2.5 hours, where we introduce all the common spices. Of course, because the session is so short, we introduce everything. For example, cardamom. Original is actually Kerala, and there are different types of cardamom. The black cardamom, the green cardamom, because you've got a different Guatemala variety, you've got the Cambodian. There's a lot of varieties. So for students, you are coming from world-class institution or school, so they take back information that is related. You're in Asia, that's related to home. So the idea is to get to go totally equipped with these knowledge on local food, local cuisine. So we start with spices, which to us, I feel as Asians, that is your foundation. That is where the flavors build, that is where everything builds. So what we do is I have the spices, and we introduce every spices and introduce different techniques. It could be roasting. Sometimes, for example, I do it many times. I roast spices so much that it turns bitter. I'm doing something else. I'm roasting, forgot and put it on high fire, and I've gone and done something else. All gone. And a lot of people say, it's okay, I will just, blend it into a powder. But the outcome is the oil has turned bitter from the roasting, and your end result is not good at all. But the idea is the awareness that how to roast, the techniques, simple techniques like roasting, how to store, how to use it in terms of tempering, how much to use, because a lot of times what I see here in Malaysia is a lot of turmeric, and everything is yellow. But to them it's just a general what I've seen, observation, is that a lot of turmeric is used. But using a lot of turmeric doesn't really help. But it leaves a lot of aftertaste in your mouth. And it kind of gives you a different sensation to your tongue, which means whatever you're eating after you consume a lot of turmeric is that it kind of gives you a weird sensation and you cannot taste the rest of your food. So you don't realize it because you're used to it, not used to it. It's fine. It's only when you pay attention, you realize, oh, something is not right, something is off. So what we're trying to do is to let the students know that how to use, when to use, how to recognize different spices and the uses and their techniques, etc. So it's just going down to the blackboard, like I said. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I think I'm planning on making your tandoori chicken salad. I just saw the YouTube video. I'm like, okay, this is simple. That's my lunch today.
So it answers your second question, or third question. You asked me, how do you add flavors?
Yeah, it's actually so simple to make. Yeah,
it's so simple.
And the marinade is also so easy. I'm planning on making it in the air fryer. That's my favorite appliance. Yes.
And also the cookbook has techniques on how you can smoke food at home.
Oh, okay.
So you could use that. So that way it kind of, mimics tandoor
flavors.
Flavors. So that was the idea of it. And that's something also we do at the spice class, is not just spices, but just introducing to students on old techniques, making, how to add smoky flavors to food, how to mix different spice blends, because a lot of times we don't know how much of what to mix. Too much of cardamom, too much of cloves. Try it, add a lot of cloves, and everything else is going to go flat. You're not going to taste fennel anymore, you're not going to taste cumin anymore. So the idea of balancing everything is key, and I think that's something which a lot of people have to learn.
Yeah, correct. And I think that's also something that you develop over time. That is the reason I think most of us, we tend to look at like older family members as the better cooks in the family.
Exactly. Yeah. I learned from the older generation. I learned from my grandmom. I learned from my aunts on what to use, how much to use, what not to overuse. And what I do through Spice Seminar is basically share all these knowledge to these students, because I know most of these students who work in beautiful restaurants which serve, which are probably Michelin star, and if you look at it, what do they serve? It's like it's simple. It's built with flavors. They focus on that one dish or one main ingredient, which should be a fish, but enhanced to other flavors like spices, or it could be different oils or something, like chili oil. But how are you going to do it if you don't know the basic? So that's what we do. It's 2.5 hours of grilling on spices into the kids.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, so I've seen a lot of, this actually brings me to my next question. So a lot of what you cook comes from your family history and the way you were raised, and like you speak about your mother, your father. So I want to know, like, how did that love for cooking come into you, and what actually led you to this path, along this path?
I think partly it's got to do I've been away from home for a long time, and understanding and valuing that relationship, how much I miss all that, is what led me to do this. If I was there, I would have taken everything for granted. If I was with mom, I think I would have just taken everything for granted. Now the fact that she's not there with me, she's not close to me, and if I have to fly home to eat her food or to experience or even taste and bring back memories, all that led me to what I do today. It goes back to the roots. It's like literally going back to the roots. I always tell my kids, even my daughter right now, which is 11, she always tries to cook what I cook. I think if she was here, she'd be like, doesn't matter, I'm just going to eat whatever. It's no big deal. So it goes back the same for me. I miss mom, I miss her food, I miss dad, I miss dad's food, and I miss all those childhood memories. So I try to bring that back through food, through her cooking. It's never going to be the same. Mom's cooking is never going to be the same. So my inspiration, everything I cook, every event I do, every dinner I host, I try to find a storyline. And the storyline always goes back to my family, my mommy's home, and us traveling back from Goa. I was brought up in Goa to Kerala, going every summer back to Attapalam and tasting my dad's, my aunts, and my grandmoms and everybody's food. That was an experience. And what I'm bringing now back here through my cookbook, through my shows, through everything I do, even my spice classes, is that experience.
That's wonderful. That's so nice. I mean, you can see what you're driven by. It's all just memories of home, and
I think we all need that.
Yeah.
I think we all need that one, foundation, or that one deep-rooted love for everything. The home and family and memories. Yes,
that's nice. Yeah, I wanted to know. So, do you have like someone you look up to when it comes to cooking? It could be a chef, or it could be someone maybe in your family who probably persuaded you to get into this field in the first place.
I think it's a set of multiple people that kind of got into this, not just one person. To begin with, the main reason why I started cooking, I couldn't even cook when I got married. Do nothing. I could not even make tea. I really was craving for good food. I'll just go back to, I go back to where I came from, and I had a wonderful childhood. Probably the most, the idyllic, perfect childhood. The best food, and everybody, best surrounding, best community. So I grew up with all sorts of food, especially from in Goa, the Catholic food, the Goan Hindu community food, my mom's food, neighbors, different communities that migrated from different cities to Goa. So I only had the best seafood, because we were in Goa, the freshest of the freshest, the best vegetables. And like you said, those days was not about fridge, it was not about storing things away. Every day was fresh, people was coming home. And now imagine I'm plucked out of all this, and I'm in the US and I know nothing, and everything is from the grocery, it's obviously frozen. So it was very difficult, and I really felt like, what am I doing here? So I slowly started learning how to cook, and going through cookbooks. And my first book was Julie Sahani. So that's where I was saying my inspiration. My first cookbook was Julie Sahani's cookbook, and she's an American Indian author in US. And I felt like she wrote cookbooks for people like me. There's nothing, if you know nothing about Indian cooking, this is how it is. It has just 4 ingredients: tandoori chicken and I remember I burnt it. So it was like, okay, you do step 1, you do this. It's like black and white. If you do not get this right, you forget cooking. So it started from Julie Sahani's cookbook. Second one was, my friends who kind of motivated me when I moved from the US to here. While we moved in between to Ireland, so we had a lot of, I worked part-time for fun with chefs in Ireland, Indian chef, Pakistani chefs. And at that time I was not educated in F&B business or anything. I was just doing it for fun because I couldn't sit at home. We didn't have kids then, and I learned a lot from them. So they were inspiration. How they would tell me how to slow cook your onions, and slow cook until they caramelize, and do not being very disciplined about cooking. And then they were my inspiration. So every point of time, I had someone who helped me with where I am today. Then when I came to school, cooking school, of course, my husband, my family, my kids, my friends, all my friends, like huge support. Told me, you should go and learn, you should get better at it. Then, of course, I had chefs at local, different chefs. I had Chef David Morrison, now I have Chef Fabrice, who was my instructor, then I have now Chef Stefan. So there were multiple chefs who helped me through my journey. And every time I feel like it's a new learning. It's like what I did even 1 year back is now the past. And I feel like I'm in a whole new journey again this year. So I have many mentors. List was not going to end. But the biggest for me is my mom. The biggest and the the most inspiring is my mom. Yeah, my mom and my sister. Yeah.
So can you tell me about your restaurant? I think it's called Goa. And
no. So this was pre-COVID.
Okay.
I'm a consultant for this group. Right now, it's been renamed as WIP because we had to move from there. The passed away, and so we had to move. So it is being rebranded. And post-COVID, it's a bit. F&B has always been a bit of a challenge. But I was managing Goa. I am still managing the Indian section for this group. I have been with this group for many years. So I take care of multiple outlets for them, especially the Indian section only.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my F&B background.
Okay. Can you tell me about the consulting background that you do?
What I do is I help them with the menu all the way from the scratch, developing the menu, trying to understand what customers want. Not everything, what I like to cook and I'm excited to cook works. So what we do is train the team, we come up with a menu, we come up with the recipes, and we do a lot of testing. And then as we go, we kind of gradually change and bring in new recipes and things like that. Okay. With the same group, I also have something called the Chef's Table, which is hosted, I cook the course. I cook a course meal. It varies anywhere from 5 course to 8 course. Last time I think we had all the way up to 10 course meal. It's crazy. So that's something I do where customers and guests can come and savor everything from A to Z that's by me. But it's a one night only. So what I do is I pick a theme. Last theme was a journey from Goa to Kerala, which my dad used to take and drive. We used to drive every summer. And it's the journey of food all the way from Goa to Kerala. So we call it the 1,000-mile journey or 700-mile journey. Calculated my dad. It's so many kilometers. So, but the journey, so we started with starters, 3 starters, salad, all the way from Goa, Mangalore, how you drive, and all the way to Kerala. So the courses where there's a journey from Goa to Kerala. So that's something that's very interesting. That was the first one about 2 months back.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
what I do. And mostly my consultation is towards the Indian menu.
Okay. So let's start off with the rapid fire with Chef Sapna Anand. Okay. So what is your favorite spice in the kitchen?
Cinnamon. True cinnamon. Sri Lankan cinnamon, not cassia.
Okay. Your favorite cuisine?
Wow, tough one. Indian, sure.
Okay. I mean, there are so many varieties in Indian, so it's okay.
Yes, but Kerala.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Your favorite foodie travel destination?
Thailand.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Your favorite thing for a midnight snack?
Ooh, this is like nuts. Actually, that's something I really. It's my food.
Very, very, very healthy. Okay. So that gets me to my next question. Your comfort food?
My mom's food. Anything. My mom. So specifically one prawn masala. Mom's prawn masala.
Okay, fine. Your favorite kitchen appliance?
My KitchenAid blender.
Stand mixer?
Stand mixer.
Okay.
I can't imagine a life without it.
Okay. Your favorite vegetable?
Asparagus.
Your favorite fruit?
Apple.
Mango. Okay.
Custard apple.
Okay. Your favorite thing to put on toast?
Butter, Amul butter. Oh gosh, yes.
Really? Wow. And your favorite way to have eggs?
Masala omelette, without a doubt.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Coffee. Loads of it.
Soup or salad? Okay.
Sorry?
Soup or salad? Soup or salad?
Salad.
Okay. Your favorite celebrity chef?
Nigella Lawson.
Okay. Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram.
Okay. Your favorite drink?
Alcohol or non-alcoholic?
I mean, anything will do.
Favorite drink, coffee. Not drink.
Okay.
Otherwise, wine. Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite herb?
Thyme.
Thyme. Okay.
Thyme.
And your favorite seasoning in general?
So tough. So many, but so good. I feel like, yeah, I know it's
On this.
super simple, but if you give me a second, it would be smoked paprika.
Okay.
Magic,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. So would you take an option of never cooking again or never tasting again?
That's like you put me in a spot.
What? Yeah.
Never cooking again or never
Tasting again. Yeah.
No, never cooking again. I have to eat. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna do it.
Okay. And what is the one thing you don't mind eating every day of your life if you had to?
Rice, yogurt, and mom's prawn masala.
No, one dish.
Oh, one dish. Salad.
Okay, great. I think that covers it. We've got to know a lot about you in this rapid fire.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean it sounds like very healthy, but I think I'm just used to it. It's something I do every day and every time, so it's become better.
So, yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure talking to both of you.